Hey guys, and welcome. In this video, we're going to walk through how to troubleshoot your Shopify store. Now, this is super important. I'm going to walk through step by step how we approach things, how we can improve efficiency, how we can improve conversion rate, and ultimately how you determine, hey, what's the biggest bottleneck and holding us back from the next level of growth. Now, I'm going to share my screen here, so you're going to be able to see myself and my screen. Just give me half a sec here. All right, so troubleshooting your store. Basically, key points we're going to cover today are, number one, start at a high level. So look at your blended ROAS, look at your revenue, look at your profit. These are the things that actually matter. These are the things that are the most important. At the end of the day, if you're very profitable, your revenue is great, your blended ROAS doesn't even matter if your profitability and your revenue are great. But if all of those things line up, that is the most important thing. Right? You can always tweak things, you can always improve things, but keep that in mind. Like, don't break what's not, or don't fix what's not broken, right? Number two is addressing the bottlenecks, and number three is just don't dupe and hope for the best. Address the actual problem here. So this is mainly with ads. Don't just duplicate out the ad set or the campaign or the ad and just hope for the best. That sometimes we'll just kind of tweak things a little bit, but that's not fixing the root of the problem. So step number one is determining the biggest bottleneck. Typically, there's 4 different areas that this could fall into. Number one is the product. So is it clear what you're actually selling? Number 2 is the audience. So the website traffic that you're sending, whether that's Facebook ads or Google ads or TikTok ads or organic or something else. Number 3 is the offer. So making sure that the audience need is actually matched to a solution. And number 4 is the funnel. And number 4 is what we're going to be covering mostly in today's video. And this is basically, is your website actually converting? So how do you actually determine and find what your biggest bottleneck is? So my personal favorite here is the top-down approach. And this is kind of what it looks like. So effectively what you look at is, use this as your North Star metric. So ROAS, blended ROAS, I'm going to say blended ROAS, or your profit or your revenue, that type of thing. Think of your top down, your number one thing, and back to this point here, your key point, ROAS, revenue, profit, that kind of thing, right? So this is your most important metric here. Now, that, especially with paid ads, and let's use paid ads as an example here. Most advertising is going to be virtually the same here, but effectively what it breaks into is your average order value. So how much are people spending on your site, and your cost per acquisition. So how much does it take to make people spend whatever your average order value is? Now, your average order value is purely based on the fact, or purely just based off of what's on your website. How much value typically do people purchase from you, right? Like if you're selling supplements, like how many bottles of supplements, or how many bundles do they purchase, or whatever that might be. AOV is a different issue, and we can chat about that at a later time. But like cost per acquisition, for example, is something that you can pull levers on. AOV you can pull levers on as well, but we're going to focus a little bit more on the cost per acquisition today. Now, cost per acquisition is basically just broken down to, number one is your cost per click, which is how much it actually costs to get people to the site. So how much does your average traffic, basically how much does your traffic cost? And the second part is how much of that traffic actually converts, right? And you want to balance this, right? Because in theory, you're like, oh yeah, well, I just want the lowest cost of traffic, right? Not always true, because if the lowest cost of traffic means the traffic isn't very high quality, you could have a 3-cent cost per click, which is insane. But if those people aren't going to buy, and if it's like people who are not in your target market, let's say you're targeting like moms in the United States, and you target a bunch of people like middle-aged men in India, your cost per click might be super low, but it's not going to matter because it's not your people, right? It's not who you're trying to attract. Now, you got your cost per click and then your conversion rate. Your conversion rate is really just like, okay, how much, and if you have a very low cost per click and it's not the right people, that's going to impact your conversion rate too. So you need to kind of look at this as well. Look at this through a lens of like, do we actually have the right quality traffic? And if we do, how is our conversion rate looking, right? If you are sending the wrong people to the site in the first place, then your conversion rate's going to suck because it's not going to be the right people, right? Go back to that example of like, hey, if your target demographic is mothers in the United States and you're targeting men in India, probably not going to work all that well, right? Now, The next piece here, so you'd break down cost per click a little bit further here into click-through rate and CPM, but the next piece here is your conversion rate, right? And conversion rate is what I really want to touch on today, because this is really important. Now, if you want some kind of like baseline metrics, let me just zoom out slightly. Come on, there we go. So if you want some baseline metrics here, these are some baseline metrics you can use when you're calculating, hey, am I on track? Am I on KPI? Am I off KPI? Like, how am I doing right now? So you can use this as a kind of point of reference here. Now, you can take a screenshot of this, but effectively, these are the things that we're really going to be looking at. Your bounce rate, your landing page view to view content rate, your content view to add to cart rate, your add to cart to initiate checkout rate, and then your initiate checkout to purchase rate. So if you determine that your biggest bottleneck is your conversion rate, first determine what the issue actually is. This is super important, right? Because conversion rate is a huge piece, right? It's not just one single piece of the puzzle. It's, each of these steps, right? So any of these steps could be having causing the issue. So first, determine what the issue is. So this is how we approach things with our agency. Number one is basically average order value is typically inversely correlated to conversion rate. So usually a higher average order value means a lower conversion rate. Make sure you're comparing these industry averages. Like if you're looking at these industry averages and you're like, whoa, I'm way off, you might not actually be, right? Like these things, and this is really important because of the number of people that come and speak to us and are like, oh yeah, my conversion rate sucks. And it's like 2%, but their average order value is like $300. I'm like, oh my God, your conversion rate's great, right? Because they read an article online and that article online told them 3% is the average. Take everything you read and take this video even with a grain of salt, right? Because if you've got a $5,000 average order value, then your conversion rate is not going to be 1%. It's not going to be 2%. It's not going to be 3%. It's probably going to be like 0.2, 0.3%, right? It's not going to be high, right? So this is super, super important. Make sure you're comparing other brands in the industry, not just like any sort of brand, right? Because if you're comparing a $5,000 product to a $20 product, it'll be a huge difference, right? Now, other causes are going to be incorrect optimization. So, I should say causes of this: incorrect optimization if you got a low conversion rate. So, like I said, traffic campaigns are optimizing for the wrong event or just advertising in the wrong country. Bad user experience would also lead to low conversion rate. Page speed, bad creative on the page and in the ads, and bad traffic, right? So all of these things will lead to low conversion rates. So you need to figure out kind of like which one's the actual issue, right? Is it the traffic, right? Because the traffic is a huge part of this too. So consider that when you're walking through this and you're troubleshooting your account. Now, beyond that, troubleshooting low click to view content rate. So what this is indicating is that something isn't clicking with the users who are going to your site, right? The causes of this can be incorrect optimization, so traffic campaigns or optimizing for landing page views, bad UX, so check bounce rates and website experiences on multiple devices. So make sure, this is so important. The amount of times I've seen people like test out their landing page experience or test out their website experience on the desktop but not look at mobile is staggering, and it's very, very important to do so. So check that out. Page speed. Low page speed can just cause a lot of people to bounce. Bad creative, if you have very clickbaity creative or you have a loss of ad scent, this is also a huge issue. Bad traffic, last resort if nothing else changes here, you can kind of change up the optimization to an earlier step in the funnel. If you're using Facebook ads, you can go from purchase to, initiate checkout or add to cart. That's last step, last resort kind of thing. And then collection. So you're sending people to a collection page instead of a product page, right? So if you're sending people to a collection page, you're typically going to get less people viewing content just simply because you're sending people to a page where they can check out a ton of different products, right? So if you have a low click to view content rate, that just means effectively like you're getting people who are clicking or landing on the website, and this could be like click or landing page view, and then view content would be VC, I should say, would be view content, right? So this would be like they're checking out a certain product. Sorry, I should have explained that before diving into this, but The next piece here is troubleshooting a low view content to add to cart rate. So effectively, what does that look like? And let me open up a website just to show you what I mean here. Right. So to give you an example of this one, right? So going back to a low click to view content rate. So in this website, if I go to shop now and I click on this product, for example, so this would be a collection page, right? So this, if you're sending people to a page like this, that's going to be an issue. Now this would be view content. They're checking out the product, right? They're on the product page. That would be considered a view content, and that's where it's going to be triggered, right? Or that's where the event is going to be triggered. If you're tracking on Google Analytics or Facebook or whatever you're using for your analytics software, that's where it's going to be tracked. So back to this one. Let me just move that around. There we go. So you've got that one, and view content to add to cart rate. So this effectively is, hey, people are not sold on the product or they don't trust you. So they're hitting this page, right? They're hitting this, the product page, but they're not clicking this button. They're not adding to cart, right? Now, what that's going to indicate is that people are not trusting you. There's not enough trust more often than not, right? So causes of this is too many, not many pictures or bad pictures, no sizing charts, right? If you're selling clothes and there's no sizing charts, the amount of times I've seen this is staggering. CTA button is not above the fold. So what is really important here is on a mobile device that your call to action button is actually above the fold. And what the fold is when you're, I'm using my phone for recording right now. So when you're on your phone, if you have to scroll, then it's not above the fold, right? If it's above the fold, it's at the very bottom there, right? Not enough information or no product information. Or there's too much going on. So some people try to like oversell, right? And there's like 1,000 different things on their product page. It takes a super long time for it to load. People are like, I don't know what I'm looking at. It's confusing. It's noisy. It's convoluted. This is really important as well, right? So moving on a little bit further on this front, one of the causes is lack of trust, right? So how can we build and improve lack of trust is testimonials, reviews, security badges. If your site looks super sketch, it's going to have an impact as well. If it looks like your site was made in 1997, that's probably going to have an issue, right? If you're watching this, you probably are not in that bracket, but nonetheless, that's super important. Now, some other key tips here that can help with this. One, check out this app, no affiliation or affiliate code or anything like that. This is just a good review app that we use. Another good review app that you can use, and then trust badges as well. This is just another app that you can use to add kind of like those trust badges to your website too. And then the other thing is just have a fast theme as well. The next part here is add to cart to initiate checkout. Now this is less common of an issue, but it certainly does still happen. Effectively, people are then adding to cart and then they're going to their cart, but they're not checking out for some reason, right? And this would be the checkout page, right? Now, if they're not checking out, some of the causes of that would be, usually it's going to be like a shipping or UX issue, right? Unexpected shipping costs, long shipping times, not having enough payment methods. The more the better. So just make it easy for people to buy. But if someone usually uses Apple Pay and you don't have that, or if you only take PayPal, that's going to be an issue, right? Because a lot of people don't have PayPal accounts anymore, right? So making sure that you have enough payment methods, and the most common payment methods, is super important. The cart just disappears. I've seen this actually quite a bit, where like the cart will just disappear and people just can't find it, right? That's super annoying. And as a consumer, they're going to just bounce, right? Now, other kind of helpful notes here. So retarget abandoned carts, abandoned cart email sequence, use Klaviyo for that. Free shipping, sticky add to cart buttons. This is super important. Make it very, very obvious when people add to cart. Consumers are squirrels, right? Genuinely, this is really, really important. Consider what, if you're looking at your store and like the only thing that happens when someone adds a cart is like a little button or a little one shows up in the cart and it's in the top corner and it doesn't notify people, no drawer rolls out or nothing really happens, people are going to be like, oh, did I even add to cart? And they're going to add again. And then they're like, it did nothing work, add again, right? And then you're going to have someone it's going to distort your data, and it's also going to look like, oh, these people are just abandoning cart, right? when they're actually not. It's just they're adding too many things, and then they remove those things from the cart, and there you have it, right? So it's really, really important to look at that. And then initiate checkout to purchase. This is very similar to the previous slide, especially for Shopify. Unless you're in Shopify Plus, you can update this a little bit more, but it's going to be very similar even if you are on Shopify Plus. So what are some of the causes of this? Disruptive registration. So if you're making people register on their final, like on this page, please don't. Please don't. It's super annoying. It's annoying for anyone, right? And it doesn't really help with things. If you're asking too many questions, if you have unexpected shipping costs, like if they hit that page, they're buying a $30 item and now they're hit with like $17 of shipping, it's kind of an issue, right? And that'll cause people to bounce for sure. Long shipping times. So if they're, especially if you're buying something that's more time sensitive, if you're selling apparel or something like that, for the most part, it's not going to be a huge issue. But certainly, if you have long shipping times, people might just be like, nah, I'm just going to go somewhere else where I can get it when I want it, right? Not having enough payment methods, again, same thing. So that's pretty much how you go end to end and assess how to fix and how to troubleshoot your Shopify store. If you do have any questions, I always answer comments. So if you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this, if you have suggestions or if you have ideas on different videos we can add in, by all means, just let me know. And again, I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you have, like I said, if you got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and have yourself a great day.